welcome to another episode of Modern Block. Thank you for joining me today. Two dominant performances against Northern American teams. Wow. I think North America is crying tonight, and yeah, it's odd considering America likes to dominate everything else. They were just schooled today. So we first started the Canada-Italy game, and I don't know if it was a case of Canada had to say sorry after everything, but it was just slow starting. Italy really fired up. I mean, it was a rescue try early on that they stopped, then again 7 minutes and it was over the try line, scoring in the end 7 tries. And I mean, there's some telling stats here. 15 clean breaks from Italy, and also 10 penalties conceded to the fifth, 5 from Italy, really just showcasing that it was quite a dominant performance. Territory in that was pretty even, so I'll give credit to Canada, and I felt like they came back quite well in the second half, showing some good moments, really at least having some set pieces put together, some attacking moments, but they just couldn't cross the whitewash. There was so many times when it was just there wasn't enough pace on the outside to get over the line, knock balls. I think they lost 2, but there was one giveaway try that they gave away in just close to the end of the first half, and then another one about 10 minutes into the second half. Both of them really disappointing and showing like there could have been a much better performance in Canada. And I think Canada physically were defeated, but also just they don't have the pace they need to get over the try line. Italy with some massive gaps and question marks Italy need to pose on their side is that they kept on having large gaps on the outside for a couple of really good opportunities for a Canadian attack that I felt wasn't that potent, yet they got there with literal last minute try saving tackles happening in a couple of times. So yeah, unfortunate for them. The Canadians, I think the scoreline is a little harsh for what it should have, compared to what it was. I think it was a little bit more of a close forward battle. But again, it doesn't matter if you can't cross the try line, I guess. So Canada, when they went to their forwards and that, they got their 1 try. It was okay. They also had a couple of good set pieces. They held up there quite well, quite physical. But it just was like, as soon as they had some schoolboy defensive mechanisms where they were ball watching quite often. Italy, I felt like had a similar attack style to what the Welsh used recently in their game to cut apart that attack, so the Georgians. So I think there's similar setup where the Setezi nations just don't have a flowing defense to anticipate these moves, and it caught them off guard. So yeah, unfortunate for them. But Matteo Minozzi, wow, 120 meters ran. Really impressive performance from him, and a player to watch going into this tournament for sure. Some other things, I just think that the Canadians need to settle down. I think they can still battle well against the Namibians, but they're going to have a massive question to ask about. If they can get out wide, the pace needed to inject into the sides at the moment, they don't have it, and I hope they have players to answer that question. From the Italian side, they just need to work on their defensive structure. I feel falls apart a little bit in open play, and can easily be pulled to bunch. They tend to pull in quite a bit, and you can get out wide quite comfortably from that. Good game, nice to watch, try fest, but unfortunately it felt a little one-sided, and every time Canada did attack, it felt a little bit obvious that they were going to be caught out. England, USA, whoo-wee! England put a statement down on World Rugby, as I felt they had a much cleaner performance here. The first half was pretty much them trying to prove forward dominance, and they did. There was a lot of forward dominance. They were just killing in the set pieces and then utilizing that. And to be fair, I know some people say it's not pretty rugby. It's winning rugby, and they won, and they killed. So they moved a little bit to a more open play the second half, which is good to see. And I think they were kind of like, whatever. Most of their subs happened around the 60 minutes, and even the subs started really hurting America. And the try in the end for America, I'm sorry to say, Americans, I know you might not like to hear this, but that was a giveaway try. England had the ball for like 2 minutes over the end of the game, trying to go for another try, showing you exceptional cockiness. Scoring a try in the 83rd minute when it was quite lucky, I don't say that they really deserved that try. England dominated in all facets of this game. There were some chances USA did have some possible opportunities, but overall it was the chances USA had, England gave them. So I don't think it's really a sign of good quality from USA. It was just maybe small lapses of judgment from the England side. But I mean, the stats for this game are insane. Like the other game, fairly even except for the clean breaks and stuff. On the other side, it's a whitewash. It's sad. 78% territory to England, 70% possession, 619 meters to 213 meters carried for USA versus England. England were running ragged. It was quite impressive to see. I mean, we're talking about 45 defenders beaten versus 5, 26 clean breaks versus 2, 11 offloads. They had 222 passes versus 46. To understand, the amount of tackles England made is almost the amount of tackles USA missed. It was a dominant performance from England. And really impressive, and it shows some attack. I do feel that the second half showcased that against bigger nations they can come and deliver a great performance on flowy rugby when they need to. But to be fair, the rule is here is win, and I think that a lot of the time this was a lot of those tries were not even off like massive plays. It was just really quality play from a lot of players in that side. Owen Farrell put in some good performances there, but obviously my players of the match, they're definitely George Cruz and George Ford. The Georges were very good. Both Cruz really dominated in the lineouts, in the mauls. He annoyed USA for most of the game. Be a very forward pack, a very like forward dominance, and just irritated them in the set pieces. And then Ford, like a literal ballet, he planned that attacking back line. They cut holes through that even a fancy chef would be impressed by. Really well done by Ford. I think he's improving in every game he plays, and this is really good to see from him. He also had a lot of really well-weighted kicks, some clearing kicks when they needed them. They didn't need them a lot, but very well-weighted kicks. Some very clever attacking kicks, finding space behind players. They put a USA under a lot of pressure, and it just showed throughout the game that the USA were trying to figure out something and they just could not. So yeah, congrats to England, great performance, and all the good things go to them. And I hope that this is just signs for the rest of the tournament. I'm not a massive fan of England, but they deserve the win today. Congrats, guys, really impressive. Going on to the next one, the Argentina game is quite interesting. Tonga showed some good signs against England, but obviously everybody still remembers the 92 dropping the other day. I've got a feeling it's going to be very similar to that England game for Argentina and for Tonga, that they're going to effectively, Tonga's going to compete for about 50 minutes and then they're going to start to fall off the field. I felt like they were able to destabilize the English quite well, and they had some clinical attacking moments when they needed them. They were able to make sure that England's attack was under pressure quite a bit with a really good rush defense, and I didn't think they gave as much space to England as today. So, but obviously taking into account now that the French also had a really good game after the 50th minute. I think the Argentinians had a good game. I'd say the second half mainly. I've got a feeling that that's kind of similar where it's going to go here. But I've got my picks here, you can check them out. I don't foresee an upset here. Argentina are definitely looking at this game to get themselves a bonus point as they need it to be able to go through. And it'll be quite interesting to see, as obviously they've also seen the English performance today, knowing that they have to face that soon. Next up, quite an interesting one, the Ireland-Japan game. So this is a big game for Japan. Well, this is a big game for Ireland actually, and Japan, it's a relatively big game. It's not a must-win though, because this is the last big game for Ireland to really worry about in their pool stages, to go through and get to the top of that pool. Confident performance against Scotland. Interestingly though, they're going to be playing a little bit more in a damper area of Japan. That's going to definitely affect them. The ref chosen is also a little bit more open play ref, which is something that Irish don't really love. Ireland likes to run through players, focus on set pieces and that, and they're dominant in that, so it's fair. I don't think the Japanese though are going to have enough to really trouble this Irish defense. What the forward dominance, the scrums, considering that they had a hard time against the Russian scrums, I think the Irish scrums are going to walk over them, and I've got a feeling they're going to do something very similar to what the English did to USA today, which is just first half dominate them in the forward set piece, break down the morale of the forwards, so that you've got the back line moving backwards, and the forwards just not giving enough heart and to be able to compete in the game. Break down the forward performance, and that's going to be quite interesting to see. So yeah, but I've got my feeling Ireland here should comfortably win this, unless some massive Japanese things happen. I have all the hope for Ireland, for Japan, but Ireland are definitely, I think, it's just a little bit too strong for this, and they're going to be focusing much more on the game coming up. The game, or the last game of their pool stages against Scotland. That's going to be a much more important game for them. So I don't imagine them giving it. Obviously, they're going to give as much as possible. They only have so many games in the World Cup. but this is not a must-win for their team, and I feel like they're not fully focused on this game. The last game of the weekend, I'm going to do a full video on this one just because it is the South Africa-Namibia game, but interesting one. I've done a video on the teams already. I put a link in the below, and I will bring out another video on the full game opinions and kind of like where I think we should focus and what players need to focus on to get them played into the main team. But yeah, guys, please leave a comment down below. Please share, please like, please subscribe, and all those good things. Thanks, guys. Cheers.